This is my biggest driver test ever. We've got so many new releases in 2023. Which one should you be demoing, trying, buying? I've been testing these clubs for over a month to give you the best information I can on all the new releases. We've got all the normal usual suspects in there, as well as a few curveballs, which, to be fair, surprised me as well. And at the end of this video, I will be crowning a 2023 winner. So I've been testing these clubs for over a month, like I say, indoors and outdoors, just taking them out every week, trying to hit shots and collect data with them. So let's start with the looks. Which one looks the best? So when it comes to looks, I think you've got to almost break these into 2.5 categories. There's two distinct categories. You've got the titanium heads that have this kind of clean look to them, a very titanium style look, titanium faces, titanium heads. And then you have these batch of clubs now that have got a lot of carbon on them. So on the top, on the bottom, Stealth 2.0 with the carbon on the face. And they again have very distinct looks because you can often see the carbon coming through because the manufacturer wants to advertise visually that they're using carbon tech. So I think you've got to almost split these into two categories because they do look quite different, and picking a winner cross categories would be so personal to what you like the look of. And then you've got the ping, which just kind of curveballs in there in its own unique category. It looks titanium, but it's got the turbulators on the top. It's so unique in its look. I think it will divide audiences. I personally really like it, but I understand lots of the audience look at the ping and just think it's just too much going on the top of that club. And then that bleeds onto the feel as well, because the feel, you've got to break these categories down a little bit as well, because you've got the carbon-based clubs that sound stroke feel much more carbony, kind of, what's the word, solid, duller, more wooden almost, back to the old wooden era. They don't make such a ting. And then you've got the titanium heads that do make that higher pitch ting on them. So again, when it comes to feel, stroke sound, you do get a different feel off the face. So if we push it to Stealth 2.0 with the carbon face and all the carbon on the body, you get a really distinct duller thud off that club, which some people will love, some people will hate. Where something like TSR2 and the Strixon and the Wilson, which is the titanium Wilson, they are going to make that kind of tingier, louder noise, which again, I think if you haven't got the speed in your impact, so if you're not creating loads of club head speed, sometimes the carbony ones just sound, they don't sound like much is happening. And that's what I find when I play with amateurs who are swinging a little bit slower. They like the louder sound of the tingy titanium clubs. So I think when it comes to looks, I'm going to choose Paradigm as the winner. I think Paradigm's the uniquest looking club out there at the minute with a combination of titanium and carbon. You've got the titanium face and then a little bit of metal on the back as well, which is kind of suspended by this carbon body. The carbon body also has a unique crushed effect on it, so you get a unique pattern on the bottom of it for each club, almost like a fingerprint, which I think is really clever and does look really good. They've absolutely nailed it with the looks of Paradigm. So for me, the looks, and again, your opinions might be different, I'm going to go with Paradigm. When it comes to feel, I think, well, if you want the carbon feel, Stealth 2.0 really does win it. It's the most carbony sounding, and it sounds, in the carbon wood age as it brands itself, like as good as a carbon wood club can sound, and it makes sense, that duller thud. It's kind of what you're expecting out of that club. If we go into the titanium feel, stroke sounding clubs, well, really, it's TSR2 sounds fantastic. Like, it's such an improvement from the old TSI2, I think. And the Strixon ZX7 just sounds titanium strong and firm and nice. So I think it's Stealth 2.0 and TSR2 when it comes to sound, stroke feel. When it comes to forgiveness, it was really hard, even with the amount of shots I hit. Now, I hit over 100 shots with each club over a period of time, and this is indoors and outdoors. I'm hitting all across the face. We're seeing drop-offs, we're seeing max-outs, and I'm going to show you the data on max-outs near the end of the video. What really stood out for me, and it does the more and more I test these clubs, is it was almost impossible for me to find a winner when it came to forgiveness. They all advertise high MOI properties, and with what they say around MOI from each company, every company says similar things, and they're moving weights, and the face's got higher ball speeds across different parts with Callaways and its jailbreaks and 60 times carbon face and rebound face in Strixon and aero grade faces in Titleist. Like, they've all got their tech, which we'll come to. There was no standout winner. The drop-offs to the maxes were very, very close, and there was a couple of standouts in the maxes, but again, well, we'll come to that. But the drop-offs, it was almost impossible to pick. They would all drop off equally. What you started to see was much more my performance more than the club. Now, if I had to choose a winner, I would edge towards the Ping. You could argue, and again, it was slim, the Ping just had a few less drop-offs in what I would call similar mishits. You can hold your hand up and be happy, and I would be happy if you bought any of these drivers on my recommendations, that you've got good amounts of MOI in all of them. Enough to help you as much as a club is allowed to help you. And that leads us on to the tech, because the tech's there to help us, isn't it? And there, again, the standout winners for tech would be Callaway and TaylorMade. And I often wonder, are they the standout winners for tech more because they got the bigger marketing budgets and they create more stories? If I'm not seeing it in MOI, then I must be seeing it in top kind of ball speeds, which will show you near the end. But again, when it comes to tech, they all do stuff to the face. They're all trying to make the club aerodynamic. They're giving you adjustable necks. Some are playing with titanium and saying that's what maxes out their design. And some are playing with carbon and titanium and saying that's what maxes out their design. And some, like TaylorMade, are using loads of titanium, carbon, sorry. And they're saying that's maxing out their design. Yet I'm not seeing anything really jump above the others in the tech world. I do think Callaway and TaylorMade would be the obvious choices that would win on the best tech. But again, maybe I'm just being tricked into the whole marketing bubble that we see in golf. What do you think? Do you think there is standout tech in drivers these days? So is there really a winner when it comes to price? Paradigm 529, Titleist 529, Stealth 499, Ping 469, Mizuno 449, ZX7 429, Aerojet 429, and then the Wilson at the cheapest at 399. So none of this is the definition of cheap. Things to consider when it comes to price. So let's pretend the Wilson just performs as good as anything else. Let's say it top end's great and we got those numbers coming, and we already know the MOI was almost impossible to decipher between any of the clubs. Why spend £129 more on the Paradigm or the Titleist when the Wilson's 399? Well, things I would consider, at some point, you're probably going to end up trading this driver in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years time. The Wilson's going to be worth next to nothing. The Titleist and the Paradigm, Stealth, Ping, maybe Cobra a little bit, they're going to be the ones that hold their price for the second-hand market more. So if you are someone who chops and changes, or you do think you will change it in 5 years' time, that might be something that you consider as value to you. I would to me. I personally think the Wilson at 399 at the moment is performing really well, but I want that to be 299. I think £400 for that club personally is too expensive for the brand that it is in golf at the moment. I think the Mizuno at 449, I don't know why you wouldn't get a Cobra at 429 if you were buying on price. Again, the Cobra's going to way outlive the Mizuno when it comes to trading value. The Strixon at 429 as well. Again, I think Cobra is just going to value higher than the Strixon driver in time. And I think Stealth, Titleist and Paradigm, even though I've got a slight discrepancy on those prices, they're all going to really fall into line over time as prices move. I think the winner in there for price is got to be Ping, isn't it? Because you're getting everything, and at 469, and then a close second, if not joint winner, the Cobra at 429 for the brand you're getting for the price. I think the standout thing for me at the minute with price, and maybe we could do another video on this, is that I don't see value for money in performance. I see it so much more in branding and how the manufacturers can influence the market, you guys and girls, and then trading markets, those ideas, with the power of their brand, rather than the extra yards or extra forgiveness is worth X amount of dollars. So what driver was the fastest? There were 3 standout drivers that got to my top end. My top end at the minute is 168 ball speed. I can't get to that 170. I'm going to get there, but 168 is my top end. Only 3 drivers got there. It was the Strixon ZX7, TaylorMade Stealth 2.0, and the Titleist TSR2. They are the 3 drivers that topped out for me in this test. Now, take this with a pinch of salt. There's going to be strike. There's going to be different days performancing when that club came into my hand. But I tried to hit enough shots to give it a good data spread. I think all of these drivers in the right situation, with all the planets aligning, could hit my top out number. I think the standout kind of dark horse in there for me was the Wilson for the speeds it was topping out at. Bear in mind, it's a Wilson, we're not thinking about that, and it's the cheapest one. A few noticeable mentions I want to put in there as well. I'm testing TSR2. You could easily test TSR3 in this bracket in the Titleist. I think they're so close. I also, in the Strixon, I think their 7 offers a bit more of movable weight options, which might make it appeal to more people, but the ZX5 could easily have been in this test with the group of other clubs. So when it comes to topping out, the 3 winners have to be the Stealth, the Strixon, and the Titleist. And the winner is... two winners. I don't know why I'm doing this. I've got a bit on it. It's a show, really. For me, if price is the driving factor, I think the Cobra has to win. It performed well on drop-offs, like them all. It performed decent on top end. 166 it snuck up to, which I think is good. You're going to get some trading value with this club. It's priced down at that reasonable price as well, not the top end. And it's a good all-round performer. I think they pushed face technology before lots of other golfers. I do think their technology pushes quite hard, but they don't shout quite as loud as the others. So I think if price is a concern and you want it to hold some value, I think Aerojet wins. Now, if price is no concern, you just want the best, the overall winner is Titleist TSR2. I think it's the most improved. I think it sounds fantastic. The numbers are fast. It's as fast as anything. And it's Titleist. It's gonna hold its value. Titleist products over time just hold their value. There's my 2 winners. You know they are all winners. And what's so interesting, I think, with these tests, as well as you can see how close they all are, if you want to really make gains in your drives up to 15 yards, this video is helping so many people. It doesn't cost you anything. You can just watch that one and start hitting it further.